Hi, and a very good evening. Today, me, NURUL JAFNI, and my other group members, which is AZRAI, HAFIZ, MOHAMMAD, AMIN, and NAJIHAH, will be presenting to you about our top 20 risk IT-based company that we have chosen. Now, we will presenting to you the introduction of the organization. So the company that we have chosen to identify top 20 risks is Rexpeed. Rexpeed is a prominent mobile app development organization situated in Malaysia that has over 9 years of industry expertise. They specialize in developing unique mobile applications for organizations, government, individuals, and communities. Rexpeed focus on producing high-quality mobile app solutions with a quick turnaround time and considerable experience in the mobile application business. Their service include researching and improving mobile app concept, recommending viable solution, and tracking app performance to Azure Access. As Malaysia's premier mobile app developer, Rexpeed is well positioned to collaborate with enterprise seeking to create specialized mobile application to meet their business objective. Rexpeed, a mobile app development company, is deeply engaged in the IT sector, making it an excellent alternative for supporting IT-related risks. Given more than 9 years of expertise and a varied client base, the organization is well equipped to analyze and immediately mitigate IT risks. Proceed in the problems of their organization. Firstly, Rexpeed collects personal information, leaving them exposed to data breaches. If their systems are stolen, sensitive information may be exposed, resulting in reputational damage and potential legal issues with Malaysia's Personal Data Protection Act, which is PDPA of 2010. Furthermore, their process for users to allow agents may not be secure, resulting in unauthorized access to user data. A lack of property security during data transfer may result in data being intercepted, which would violate the PDPA standards. Rexpeed additionally depends on third-party services for game operation, and which might be troublesome if these services experience downtime or security breaches, thereby jeopardizing Rexpeed's service and reputation. Lastly, Rexpeed's privacy policy is vague on its security procedure, which could lead to breaches of data or unauthorized access, thereby violating the PDPA.
My name is Muhammad bin AYOB. My ID number is 122.130.2787. Next, I will continue with the approach used to assess risk. To assess risk on the Rexpeed, we use qualitative risk assessment method. We choose this qualitative risk assessment method because it is focused on identifying and evaluating risks based on their likelihood and impact. And also, qualitative risk assessment method is more subjective and suitable for measuring the potential impact on the overall schedule. So for the scale, we use this as our scale to assess the risk. So for the likelihood, we have 0.1 until 0.9, which is from rare until to very likely. And for the impact value, we use 1 to 5, which indicate very low until very high.
Hello, my name is HAFIZ. My student ID is 1211306252, and I'll be talking about the top 10 identified risks from 3.1. So first of all, the first point is the cyber attacks, which usually consists of attacks ranging from malware, phishing, or ransomware. These cyber attacks happen is usually to disrupt the operations of the company or the integrity of the company or just financially or just reputationally of the company. So malware is done to usually to just disrupt the operations of the company and to cause data loss in the company. So it will prolong and will be faced with fines and so on. So ransomware is done for attackers for their financial gain, so that they could take the data and give out like, oh, I want probably some amount of money to retrieve your data back. So phishing is usually done for identity fraud, identity theft, so that they can do much more with the information from users or the information that the company holds. So the second point is the insecure employee-owned devices accessing company data. This is basically the BYOD, which is bring your own device, where employee using their own device to access company data. This possesses a risk because the devices that the employees used is usually not regular software updates, meaning that the vulnerabilities in the devices is more prone than in the company. So this allows the attackers to exploit the known vulnerabilities and access the company data using the employee-owned devices. Okay, the third point is the lack of a documented disaster recovery plan. So the lack of documentation for disaster recovery plan will affect them in the long run. So what I mean by affecting in the long run is that maybe there's a new employee and there's some old employee. Probably they know about the disaster recovery plan, and probably they don't know. So hence, the absence of the documented disaster recovery plan has made them um, inefficient to properly go through the plan as to what must be done first. So this will lead to a prolonged downtime, financial loss, and probably losing trusts between customers. Okay, so the fourth point is the inability to quickly recover after incident. So after an incident, it is natural that we want to get the company up and running. But if the company is unable to quickly recover after an incident, let's say there's a cyber attack that happened, and the inability to quickly recover from that cyber attack will cause them to prolong downtime, financial loss, data theft, data loss, and probably reputational damage. So yes, so inability possesses a risk to do damage for data loss, reputational damage, and so on. Okay, so the fifth point is the non-compliance with the data protection regulations. So, data protection regulations is done to safeguard an individual's privacy and sensitive information. So, if the company is cannot comply to or not complying to the data protection regulations, it could face like severe legal repercussions, and even the regulatory body could even put a halt to their operations, or maybe ban them from using data that they received from the users. So this poses a risk because um, the company will be will not be as efficient as it's supposed to, since there is some restrictions on some parts of the company regarding data. Okay, so for the sixth point, the insufficient investment in advanced cybersecurity tools. This is a risk that is usually associated with how the technologies nowadays are developing. So as we all know, technology is always developing in a rapid rate. So the insufficient investment in advanced cybersecurity tools possesses a risk to, let's say, if the attacks are getting better but the cybersecurity is the same. So this will lead to attackers knowing vulnerabilities that are from the old versions, and using new technologies, probably they can penetrate to that. So this possesses a risk for data loss, data theft, and reputational damage, and everything that is cyber attacks wise. So the a sufficient investment in advanced cybersecurity tools is needed to have the same counter to the developing attacks. So for the seventh point, it is insufficient protection against insider threats. Now, this is a risk that is quite hard to detect, since insider threats are harder to detect, since it requires a level of trust and access for them to do this um, type of attack, type of threats. So hence this hence this insufficient protection against insider threats are usually associated with data loss, financial loss, reputational damage, and a prolonged down and trust between the users and the company diminishing. So this is usually this is usually very hard to detect because it is not as the external, so you cannot do an antivirus or something. So yes, this is a severe risk. So for the eighth point is the exposure to social engineering attacks. Now, this risk is usually associated with human interaction. So social engineering attacks is usually they do an identity fraud, they manipulate, they pretend to become another person. So usually this risk is dangerous when the employee doesn't know how to differentiate between a social engineering attack and a real person. So this poses a risk for the company, because if social engineering attacks is supposedly successful, they can cause data loss, they can do identity theft, identity fraud, and they can possibly do disrupt the operational of the company. They can possibly do downtime on the website or just on the company in general. So for the ninth point is an inadequate incident response plan. So as similar to the previous not documented, this is inadequate incident response plan. So usually a response plan usually it's um, the response plans is usually preparation, identification, containment, eradication, recovery, learning, and testing. So without this, let's say if there is no eradication, then it will lead to not enough incident response plan, because there is a basic to how an incident response plan is supposed to be. So yeah, this will lead to a prolonged downtime as well, and this could lead to trust diminishing between users and customers and company, and probably yeah. So for the 10th point is the last point I'll be talking about is the no policy for handling sensitive data. So sensitive data is usually classified as confidential information. So there must be a policy. So hence, there is usually a policy on how you handle sensitive data to ensure the confidentiality and the integrity of the data is kept. So without a policy, without a policy for handling sensitive data, the employees could just easily expose this data, and without knowing they are handling the sensitive data. They could also potentially bring the data is kept in their own devices, which is not as secured, and will lead to will lead to probably risk to for cyber attacks to gain sensitive data and so on. So this possesses a risk for is usually very related to customers losing trust, reputational damage to the company since they don't have a policy to handle sensitive data, and yeah, I think that's about it. All my points have been given out, so thank you, and yeah.
Alright, next for the risk number 11, lack of real-time monitoring for cyber threat. So without a real-time monitoring, companies are vulnerable to undetected cyber threat. This can lead to extended unauthorized access, data theft, and system damage. Implementing a real-time monitoring is crucial for early threat detection and mitigation. For the 12th risk, website downtime due to cyber attack. Cyber attack can cause website downtime and impact operational efficiency and reputation. Loss of customer trust and potential regulatory scrutiny can result from prolonged downtime. Mitigating these risks involves robust cybersecurity measures and quick recovery protocol. 13 risk unauthorized access due to weak authentication processes. Weak authentication processes increase the risk of unauthorized access to the system. Lack of the multi-factor authentication or strong password policies make exploitation easier. Strengthening authentication protocol is essential to mitigate this threat effectively. Next is 14, the 14 risk, no formal policies on acceptable use of IT resources. Absence of formal IT resources use policy lead to the productivity loss and increased vulnerability. Standardizing employee behavior regarding IT resource uses mitigates risk like data breach. Implementing a clear policies is crucial for maintaining security and compliance. And the 15, risk inadequate cybersecurity awareness training. Lack of cybersecurity awareness increases the risk of employee falling victim to attacks. Insufficient knowledge can lead to inadvertent disclosure of sensitive information. Regular training sessions are essential to educate employees and reduce human error. Alright, for the 16 risks, limited IT risk management resources. Limited resource hinder efficient identification, assessment, and mitigation of IT risks. This result in delayed response to threats and inadequate protection of critical assets. Allocating sufficient resources is crucial for effective IT risk management. Next, dependency on third-party security for physical infrastructure. Relying on third-party security limit control over security measure and compliance. Integration challenge with internal security protocol may arise, impacting operation. There is also a risk of financial and reputational damage due to the third-party vulnerabilities. And the next one is data loss due to insufficient backup frequency. Insufficient backup frequency increases the risk of data loss and operational disruption. Non-compliance with regulatory requirements and customer trust issue may result. And also, regular and reliable backup procedure are essential for data protection. And 19 risks, inconsistent IT asset inventory management. Inconsistent asset management can lead to security vulnerability and operational inefficiency. Compliance issues and financial losses can occur due to inadequate inventory oversight. Maintaining an accurate IT asset inventory is crucial for risk management and efficiency. And the last risk, outdated software and licenses. Using outdated software exposes company to cybersecurity vulnerability. Downtime and explosion risk increase due to lacking patches and updates. Regular updates and license management are necessary to mitigate this risk. That's all from me. Continue with the next part. Next, this is for access risk exposure. We already rank all the risks based on their risk level, based on serious, moderate, and minor. In summary, the table shows that there are 15 risks at a serious level. This means that these risks need to be mitigated seriously as they could lead the company to lose many important assets. Additionally, there are 2 moderate risks found in the table. These risks have their own impact on the company but are not as severe as the serious level risks. Lastly, there are 3 minor risks that do not significantly impact the company but still need to be mitigated to minimize potential damage.
Now we will be explaining to you the risk management plan for the top 20 risks that we have identified using the assessment matrix. So we have identified the first risk, which is cyber attack that involve in malware, phishing and ransomware. The mitigation plan for the first risk is implementing access control methods is critical in preventing unauthorized access to data and system. Secondly, RESPECT should enforce multi-factor authentication (MFA) for any necessary system to add an extra layer of protection. Furthermore, the idea of least privilege assures that the employee gets only the access required for their job, thereby decreasing the danger of internal threats. Lastly, deploying web application firewalls (WAF) assists in protecting RESPECT's web application from attacks that exploit vulnerability. For the monitoring plan, the company needs to use security information and event management, which is ISIEM system, to monitor network traffic for any unusual activity that might lead to cyber attack. They need to review system logs on a regular basis to look for unauthorized access, attempt, malware infection, as well as other security incidents. Also, regularly check application and system for vulnerability to find any fixed problems beforehand attackers exploit them. So for the recovery plan, the company should create a documented incident response strategy specifying what procedure to follow in the event of cyber attack, including communication, remediation, eradication, and containment. Moreover, make sure the company have procedure in place to rapidly and efficiently restore data from backups in the event of ransomware attack. The mitigation plan for the second risk, which is insecure employee-owned devices accessing company data. So the mitigation plan is the company need to implement a bring your own device (BYOD) policy that clearly outlining the regulation and rules for accessing company data on personal device. The company also should implementing a mobile device management (MDM) solution to manage and secure employee-owned devices accessing company data. MDM helps RESPECT to carry out security regulation, remotely monitor devices, and safeguard corporate data. Also, encouraging the use of secure access techniques such as virtual private network (VPNs) while accessing company data via public Wi-Fi network. The monitoring plan for the risk 2 is the company must monitor and log every attempt for accessing company data via employee-owned devices. They also need to monitor the apps that are utilized on employee-owned devices for accessing company data to ensure an ongoing adherence to BYOD policy. Additionally, the company should conduct regularly security audits on employee-owned devices using MDM solution to ensure they are complying with security policy. Next, for the recovery plan, to prevent unauthorized access, the company can use the remote wipe capabilities available in the MDM solution to wipe out sensitive data from stolen or lost devices. The company should also creating a data breach response strategy that describes what measures to follow in the event of a data breach related to employee-owned devices. This includes alerting the parties involved, investigating the occurrence, and managing the damage that happened. Next, the third risk is lack of a documented disaster recovery plan. The mitigation plan that can be done for the third risk is the company should create a documented plan outlining the critical system recovery strategies for various disasters and contact information. They also need to identify essential business function, assess disruption impact, and prioritize recovery based on importance. The company can also establish a robust backup strategy that includes regular backups and implement of combination of on-site backups for faster recovery and off-site backups like cloud storage for disaster protection. Next, the monitoring plan for the risk 3 is the company need to constantly be monitoring the performance and the health of critical system to detect potential disasters such as hardware failures and software errors. Also, they need to regularly check the accessibility and integrity of backups to guarantee they can be effectively restored in the event of a disaster. The recovery plan that can be done for the risk 3 is establish specific criteria for identifying a disaster and initiating the DRP. In the event of a disaster, activate the DRP and begin the recovery procedure as defined. Then the company can have to restore the data from backups using the criticality of the data and the recovery point objective, which is RPO. Lastly, recover critical system and application to restore regular operation according to recovery time objective, RTO, and develop business continuity procedure to ensure the full functionality. The risk 4 is inability to quickly recover data after an accident. The mitigation step that can be done is RightSpeed should implement a robust backup strategy that includes regular backups according to data importance. Using both on-site and off-site backups like cloud storage guarantees data security and easy access. Data replication and automated backups can accelerate recovery and reduce human error. Also, data security training for employees is provided on a regular basis to assist prevent unaverted data loss. The monitoring plan that can be done for the risk 4 is backups should be tested on a regular basis to guarantee their ability to be covered. Continuously monitor the health of the system and backup infrastructure to identify any issues early on. This includes assessing backup integrity and the performance of recovery serve as well as storage device. For the recovery plan, prioritize retrieving the most vital data first, using the best possible way rather from latest backups, recovery tools, and real-time data replication. Lastly, the recovery plan can be done in assess the integrity of the recovered data, reboot systems, and perform a post-recovery review to optimize future processes. The fifth risk is non-compliance with data protection regulation. So the mitigation plan for this risk is RightSpeed must set up a true data protection structure. This entails creating clear rules and regulation that comply with PDPA criteria. RightSpeed should use encryption technologies to protect data while in transit and at rest. Also, RightSpeed requires a robust data protection strategy that is regularly reviewed and updated. This policy ought to be well documented and available for all employees and stakeholders. The monitoring plan for the risk 5 is RightSpeed should conduct frequent audits to ensure compliance with data protection policies and regulatory obligations. Third-party compliance should be regularly monitored via regular reviews and audits of vendors' data handling practice. Compliance reporting and documentation are critical to accountability and transparency. So, the RightSpeed should create regular compliance reports that indicate areas of concern and the steps taken to rectify that. The recovery plan for the risk 5 is to determine the consequence of a data protection incident, examine its scope and natural right-of-way, take action to control the issue, restore affected data from backups, and confirm the integrity of the review of the recovered data. Also, investigate the cause of the occurrence and take corrective steps to prevent it from occurring again. The sixth risk is insufficient investment in advanced cybersecurity tools. So, for the mitigation steps for the risk is companies should conduct a true cybersecurity assessment and strategic investment plan. This involves evaluating the current cybersecurity posture, identifying gaps in technology, and prioritizing investment based on the organization risk profile and business objective. The monitoring plan for this risk is monitoring plan involves continuous surveillance and assessment of cybersecurity tools and their effectiveness in detecting and mitigating threats. Next, implement advanced monitoring solution that integrate with existing security and infrastructure, providing real-time visibility into network traffic, endpoint activities, and potential security incident. Also, use SIEM system to aggregate and analyze log from various sources, enabling the detection of anomalies and potential threats across the IT environment. Lastly, the recovery plan for the risk 6 is companies should have a well-defined recovery plan to restore system and mitigate the impact of the attack. The plan should include immediate response action, such as isolating affected system, assessing the scope of the incident, and activating the incident response team. Now let's proceed to risk 7, which is insufficient protection against insider threats. The mitigation steps for this risk is develop and enforce a robust access control policy that limits privileged access to sensitive data and system based on their job roles and responsibility. Also, implement user behavior analytics, which is UBA, and monitoring tools to track and analyze employee activities, detecting unusual patterns or deviation from normal behavior that may indicate insider threats. The monitoring plan for this risk is the company should implement continuous surveillance and analysis of employee activities and access patterns to detect insider threats in real time. Also, the company should implement endpoint detection and response EDR system, network monitoring tools, and data loss prevention, which is the DLP solution, to monitor and analyze user behavior across IT infrastructure. The recovery plan for the risk 7 is activate the incident response team to assess the scope and impact of the incident, collaborating with internal stakeholders and external experts as needed. Lastly, restore the affected system and data from secure backups to minimize disruption and ensure business continuity. The next risk, which is risk 8, exposure to social engineering attacks. The mitigation steps for this risk is educate employees at all levels about common social engineering tactics such as phishing, pretexting, and baiting, and how to recognize and respond to suspicious communication effectively. Next is to develop and deliver regular training sessions to illustrate the methods used by attackers to manipulate individuals into divulging sensitive information or performing unauthorized action. The monitoring plan for this risk is implement email filtering and spam detection tools that can identify and quarantine phishing emails or suspicious attachments before they reach employee inboxes. They also can utilize web filtering and endpoint protection solution to block access to malicious websites and prevent malware downloads initiated through social engineering tactics. The recovery plan is company recovery plan should be developed to mitigate damage and restore operation swiftly. The plan should include the predefined steps for incident response, such as isolating affected systems to prevent further compromise, disabling the compromised accounts, and conducting forensic analysis to determine the scope and impact of the attack. The risk 9 is inadequate incident response plan. So the mitigation step for this risk is implement a comprehensive incident response plan, which is IRP. The company also should define incident categories and security levels to prioritize response effort based on the impact and criticality of the incident. The monitoring plan that can be done is implement a real-time monitoring tools such as security information and event management (SIEM) system to monitor network traffic and user activities for a sign of unauthorized access or suspicious behavior. The recovery plan for this risk is create precise methods for restoring data from backup image, and this should provide detailed instructions for recovering data from backup storage, verifying data integrity, and restoring it to the productive environment. Now we will proceed to the risk 10, which is no policy for handling sensitive data. The mitigation step for this risk is implement a comprehensive data handling policy. This involves defining clear guidelines, procedure, and responsibility for the collection, storage, transmission, and disposal of sensitive data throughout its life cycle. The monitoring plan that can be done is implement data loss prevention, DLP solution, and encryption technologies to monitor and control the movement of sensitive data and across the organization network and endpoint. Lastly, the recovery plan is to activate the incident response team to conduct forensic analysis. This is to determine the cause and extent of the breach, identify compromised data sets, and assess the impact on affected individuals.
For the 11 risks, which is lack of data monitoring for cyber threat, for the mitigation plan, we can implement network traffic analysis or NTA tools to monitor and analyze network traffic for anomalies in real time. Also, for monitoring plan, we can configure alerts for various suspicious activities, and these alerts must be categorized by severity to ensure response efforts are prioritized appropriately. And for recovery plan, we can implement effective containment procedures, and we can implement VLANs, which is virtual local area network. With the 12 risks, which is website downtime due to cyber attacks, the mitigation plan includes implement a web application firewall and which can filter and monitor HTTP requests to block malicious traffic and prevent attacks. And for monitoring plan, we can implement synthetic monitoring tools and real user monitoring systems. And for recovery plan, we can restore functionality from clean backup stored in secure and isolated environments to ensure the integrity of data and configuration. Okay, the next risk, which is unauthorized access due to weak authentication processes. The mitigation plan include implement multi-factor authentication, which requires users to verify their identity using 2 or more factors. And monitoring plan includes tracking failed login attempts, successful logins from initial locations or devices, and patterns of access outside normal business hours. And recovery plan includes disabling compromised accounts, resetting passwords, and reviewing account to determine the extent of the breach. Okay. Next, the 14th risk, which is no formal policies on acceptable use of IT resources. The mitigation plan includes establish and implement comprehensive acceptable use policies. Monitoring plan includes tracking user access patterns, internet usage, software installations, and data transfers. And for recovery plan, we can disable accounts involved in policy violations. The 15th risk is inadequate cybersecurity awareness training. For the mitigation plan, we can implement a comprehensive cybersecurity awareness training program. And for monitoring plan, we can implement phishing simulation exercise and other simulated cyber attacks, and we can also track participant rates and completion of cybersecurity training modules. And for recovery plan, we can communicate incident details and recovery actions transparently. For the 16th risk, which is the limited IT risk management resources, we can conduct a comprehensive assessment of existing IT risks. For monitoring plan, we can implement key performance indicators and metrics to measure the progress and impact of risk mitigation efforts over time. And for recovery plan, we can evaluate resource allocation strategies and update risk management plan. Okay, the next is dependency on third-party security for physical infrastructure. We can conduct due diligence by evaluating vendors based on their reputation, track records, security practices, and compliance with relevant standards or regulations. For monitoring plan, we can regularly monitor the performance, security updates, and support provided by the vendor to stay informed about any reported vulnerabilities. And for recovery plan, we can develop a contingency plan that outlines steps to be taken in case of issues related to the third-party application. Okay, for the 18th risk, which is the data loss due to insufficient backup frequency. For mitigation plan, we can establish automated backup schedules, ensures that all critical data, including databases, applications, and user files, are regularly backed up. And for monitoring plan, we can have regular audits and checks of backup logs and reports to help verify that backups are conducted as scheduled and that data is recoverable when needed. And for recovery plan, we can initiate restoration from the most recent viable backup copies of essential data. Okay, the next risk is inconsistent IT asset inventory management. For the mitigation plan, we can create standardized procedures and workflows, and we can also assign responsibilities to designated personnel or teams. For monitoring plan, we can do continuous tracking and auditing of the IT asset inventory, and we can utilize asset management software and tools. And for the recovery plan, we can include predefined steps for conducting thorough audits and immediately update that asset inventory with correct information and initial reconciliation processes. And for the last list, which is updated software and licenses, for mitigation plan, we can conduct regular assessments to inventory all software applications and licenses, and we can also develop policies and procedures for timely updates and patch management. And for monitoring plan, we can continuous tracking and auditing of software versions and license statuses to identify audited or non-compliant software. And for recovery plan, we can immediately update outdated software versions with the latest patches.